Hi, I'm Winston Goodfellow, award-winning writer, photographer, and automotive archaeologist. One of my great passions is doing the digging, where you go far beyond what's the ordinary, what people normally see, and try to connect some of the big picture dots. Today, we'll try and connect some dots on this car, the 1965 Shelby Mustang GT350. This is really a seminal car for a number of reasons, and this example in particular is quite extraordinary. Let's go digging. I remember these barely from when I was a kid, the Shelby Mustangs. And of course, I've known the name Carroll Shelby for quite some time. Won Le Mans, came out with a Cobra in 1962, and that was really the start of Act One, because straight out of the box they went racing, and almost straight out of the box they won. Then in 1964, Lee Iacocca called Carroll and wanted to turn the Mustang into a sports car. And as Carroll told me, he said, "Winston, I told Lee, you can't make a mule into a racehorse," or something to that effect. It might have been a little bit more colorful. Anyhow, and Lee replied, "Carroll didn't ask you that." And Shelby says, okay. So then he went and did his thing, talked to the right guys at the SCCA, which was the racing organization that governed where they wanted to go competing. And boom, they made the 65 GT350. This started a whole second chapter for Shelby because the Mustangs were incredibly popular. And this really put it on the map. As the road test said at the time, this is what we always thought the Mustang would be. If you flash forward to about 15 years ago or thereabouts, when the new generation, the SY97 versions of the Shelby Mustangs appeared, I went and bought one, and I happened to be at the LA Auto Show and was speaking with Jay Mays, who was then head of design at Ford. I really wasn't quite sure if the car that I had bought was a slick marketing exercise or the real deal. And so I mentioned this to Jay, and I'll never forget what he said, which was, "Winston, there's two names that matter in terms of Mustang history. The first is Bullitt because of Steve McQueen. The second is Shelby. Movies will be made someday." And I'll never forget that he said movies will be made someday, because bang, like 10, 15 years later, out comes Ford versus Ferrari, and movies were made someday. One of the things I love about the 2+2 Mustangs from 64.5 to 66 is when you look at the roof line and the proportions here. This is classic Italian design from that period, where you've got the longer hood and then just this beautiful sloping roof line that comes back and tapers into the tail like this. And then the Italians were also masters at putting a little hip on the rear fender line, and this has it beautifully done here. This particular window treatment was unique to the 65s. There's no scoops like you would see on the 66s and later. And so the car has a really, really clean appearance.
I've never really driven the car. This truly is a trailer queen.
You know, and the car's probably loving every minute of this.
It needs to be broke in. I don't think it's got brakes pull a little bit.
Oh, I could imagine that. It reminds me of an NCRS vet that I drove one time that had trophies at the Yin Yang. And the poor car just had never been driven.
Here, we'll bed the brakes in.
See, the drag is, I wish people could see the smile right now, you know? There we go, nice scratch on the tires. By the way, gang, Craig is not obeying the speed limit.
And this is why I don't trust myself. That's it.
Yep.
Pull right out in front of me.
Outstanding. That's fun. This is just, it's it's a very analog car.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just like I'm already feeling stuff here in the steering wheel, and there's little shimmy from the street and that type of stuff. And then you got to give the brakes a good heave to get them to go. Synchros in this thing feel really good.
Yeah, it shifts nice.
Yep.
I smell the brakes. I don't think they ever got bedded in.
Yep. Gave the tires a little exercise there.
Yeah, it needs to be driven.
Yep.
Exercise all the seals.
You know, but listen to the musicality of this engine. It's just because you have
hear the solid lifters.
Yes. And that's what I've always loved about solid lifter engines, is they sound a lot like Italian engines because of just the way they rev and then the way they sound and all that type of stuff.
See, it pulls nice.
Yeah, see, because now that she's loosened up and gotten a little bit of exercise,
Yep.
but you're right, those brakes really do need a little bit of help.
I could break them in here in a minute.
Oh, I'm sure you could.
I'm good at bedding in brakes.
You're good at betting in a lot of things. And so these things, in terms of value, and particularly for those that do want to go out and drive it, these things really are wonderful. Yeah, you know, the Detroit locker might take a little bit of getting used to, but it's, this gearbox is absolute friggin' butter. This gearbox is lovely. So just the right amount of effort. Throws a little long as we can see. It's got a nice little notch in there so you can feel it.
Yep.
But as we saw earlier when Craig was running it through the gears, he was scratching tires left and right, having a great time.
Every car I own, I get in it and I drive it.
Oh yeah. Yep. You know, and if you get the right one, it's going to be nice and reliable. So nice event car, all that type of stuff.
They're great for rallies.
Yes. Yeah, and then when you dip your foot in it,
Apex.
yeah, you think? Mr. Jackson, I'm sorry, the car didn't stop quite like I anticipated. So, but good visibility, you know, nice clean instrument panel. Steering wheel feels lovely in your hand. Gearbox is right where you want it to be. Seat's actually fairly comfortable.
Hey, you can do a 1,000-mile road rally in one of these.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised. I was expecting it to be a little more crashy than it was. And then if you want to cruise it and lug it like this, it doesn't protest. You know, might get a little boomy in the back with the exhaust. Yeah, I could just feel how much better she's running now. You know, and
Yeah.
here's where, okay.
I need to balance the front tires,
You
I think. I doubt it has any weights on them.
Yep. And like you said, there might be some flat spotting in there too.
It's been sitting for a while.
So Craig Jackson and I were just out running around in this GT350. And what I love about these is whenever I drive one of these, it really reminds me of a 250 short wheelbase Ferrari. In that the vibrations you get, the sounds you get, the way the engine pulls and all that type of thing, what you feel coming through the seat and the gear shift lever. Steering's a little loose and sloppy in this. A short wheelbase is going to be tighter than that. But outside of that, there's a lot of characteristics of this on the road that are like a short wheelbase, and you're getting 50 to 70% of that experience, you know, at a fraction of the price, and that's where I think these things are just dynamite. Plus, when you look at the shape of this really is a seminal shape. And the color scheme, where the blue with white stripes, Pete Brock told me that he picked this because this is what Briggs Cunningham used when he raced at Le Mans in the first half of the 1950s on his Cunningham racers. And so he thought that was just an iconic color scheme. And then what's interesting about this is, this was really the first car with what's called a graphics package, where you put some jazzy stripes or something else on it. And this was the first car that stripes meant speed. And so that to me really makes this a seminal shape and a seminal color combination, because before this, stripes were typically on race cars. This was the first time they were applied to a street car, and stripes meant speed. And then boom, in the United States in the second half of the 60s, there was this huge explosion in graphics packages where all these things, just the AAR CUDAs, you know, everything, it was just, they all meant this car goes fast. And it all started right here with this 65 GT350.
You know, my brother raced car 34 for a long time. You know,
and so car 34 meaning chassis number 34, build number 34?
Yep, chassis number 34. And it was a race car since day one. I never had a street 65. So when this car became available, it was one of those things. It was a barn find, it was all original. Then this idea, can we restore this car to go win all the awards, which we did. And now, here it sits.
And so when you say win all the awards, where did you take it?
So we took it to Mid-America, we took it to SAC, and then we took it to the Mustang Club of America, and there it won in the thoroughbred class, and it won the Authenticity Award, which means it has to have 99% of the parts that it came with on the assembly line.
Yes.
And that is the key to restoring this car. But you got to start with a great car. Original interior in it still.
19,000 miles on
19,000 miles, still has the black California plates on it.
And then it was, if memory serves me correctly, the reason the mileage was so low is because that there was a repair that was done incorrectly?
Yeah, so the gentleman, it's a one family car. One brother traded the other brother for it. This car was sold in Huntington Beach. We still have the California pinks from California. And then the other brother put a trailer hitch on it, which it had when we found it. And he went motocross racing, and he used this as his tow vehicle, which is ironic. And he went off the road one day and he hit a rock in the idler arm, and he replaced it with a standard idler arm. Well, Shelby has a different one.
Yes.
And then the geometry of the two wheels didn't move in sync, and it scared the heck out of him, so he put it in the garage, and that saved the car. There it sat until...
For how long?
30 years, something like that, until Dennis Collins found the car. And then we were on the phone all day when he was there, and we said, we'll take it. So we made some good friends doing this car. It fits well in my collection.
Yes.
But the only thing that's different is it's the only car in my Shelby collection that I don't drive.
Yes.
So somebody should own this, put it in a glass case, fill it with argon gas, and pray to it. Me, I'm going to take it out and smoke the tires on it
and
if I
trust me,
drive
guys,
it and keep it.
He's a major tire smoker. I've seen him in action.
You know, I love the history of these cars. Restoring Little Red and the Green Hornet was just a great adventure. Restoring this car and going through all the learning process, but learning between what's NOS parts, what's factory original, and how the cars morph. One thing when we did the documentary, and we went to the Shelby Employees Reunion and interviewed as many of the old employees.
Yes.
And I was asking them more Little Red, Green Hornet questions, but I was also asking questions about the atmosphere there and what was it like. And Walter, the guy that built Little Red and ultimately put the IRS in the Green Hornet and put the two blowers on the Super Snake, told me, you know, we did whatever Carol told us, and we went to the parts house and got whatever, and it was that hot rodder mentality.
Yes.
It evolved when they built the Green Hornet, because then you're back in Detroit and you got Ford Advanced Vehicles to give a lot of technology. It was different. It was more high tech.
But it was still there. The ethos was still there. We want the cars to go faster. What can we do?
Yes, it was. And I think they cut through a lot of red tape when I talked to them. It was a love-hate relationship with the corporate guys versus the hot rodders
Yes.
from LA that came there.
Yes.
And that spirit is embodied in this car.
Very much
you
so.
take a stock car, you put a lot of aftermarket performance parts on it, and you go racing and you kick ass. And that's what this car was all about.
Boom, done. And on that, we'll call it a wrap. Thanks, and we'll see you on the road next time.